Let's just say that most coffee tables want a tray, some objects, and something sculptural. So we have 3 trays. Either of these could work. They're both really pretty. They're both Scandinavian. They're in our color story. The gold is a little bit glam for me because that's not what I'm going for in this house. Most of these vessels actually could work. It seems like I don't really have any of this color, so I'm gonna just go ahead and remove it. This might be a little bit tall once you get branches in, so you can't actually have a conversation. Done. So down to these 2. This one's really simple. This one is more, it's still simple, but it's really graphic and sculptural. And I love it so much, so I'm going to choose this one, but this could totally work too. So since we're using this black vessel, I'm going to opt for the lighter tray so it kind of feels mixed up again. What I'll do is a candle, so pretty and cute, some coasters, some matches for the candle, and then I might top it off with a book. All right, so here's a hot styling tip. You do not need to go to the florist or even buy flowers. We just go outside and clip branches all the time. And they're big and sculptural and so pretty. I might have to play around with it a little bit.
Rhythm and repetition are really tied together, but they are 2 completely separate ideas that just kind of work together to create this overarching principle. So repetition is, just as it sounds, repeating an element throughout a space. That way there's some sort of cohesion. Rhythm is the way that your eye moves through a space, and rhythm really relies on repetition because the eye is going to look for similar elements to draw it through a space, whether it's up and down, around a space, and that's achieved through repeating different elements. The way that you get rhythm is by spreading out that repetition. So not just having your whole pattern all on one wall, but incorporating an element of, let's say, a polka dot and an accent pillow, and then also bringing that polka dot into a piece of artwork on the other side of the room and creating that sense of harmony by pulling that pattern and that repetition throughout the space. In this example here, there's this really great ECAT print on the pillows that is slightly different on each pillow, but because it's a very similar pattern, your eye just naturally moves across the sofa, again, sees that same pattern within the ottoman, and then makes a loop back around. It looks for it in the artwork, and it's a great way to use pattern to create that sense of rhythm and repetition.
Here's some examples of galleries that are successfully balanced. So the example on the left has the same frame and color motif throughout, white, blacks, and gold. While the gallery on the right uses different types of shapes. So you have squares and rectangles and circles, and each style of gallery works. It's just up to your choice. So this is a great example of alignment and how that plays into hanging your artwork correctly. So I've drawn a grid to show you how they're using horizontal and vertical lines to line up their edges and proportions. So in the picture on the left, they align vertically to the inside edge, which creates this really fascinating negative space around the cluster of pictures. So for the horizontal edges, they don't align it straight across, but rather break the picture frames into thirds. They make this look easy, but it's actually rather difficult. So a good tip is to use pieces of paper and cut them up, place them on your wall before you actually mount your work, so that way you get an idea of your layout. The example on the right shows an example of your horizontal lines. So sometimes the edges align and sometimes they don't. So notice also how the negative space in between the pictures is the exact same all around in both examples.
We'll start by identifying the things in your life that are making you feel uncomfortable, the things that are triggering a feeling of discomfort. Really lean into that discomfort. So my philosophy is that if you can identify it, then you can fix it. Whatever it is, try to identify the actual attainable action that you can take to shift that trigger point from being a point of discomfort to something that goes away. A trigger spot for me is definitely the place where my kids deposit all of their stuff at the end of the school day. And they're little, they're 5 and 3, and I needed to find a way that I could help them to clean up that mess. So I put 2 hooks in the wall. I found an old picnic basket and put it underneath the hook. So in the basket, their backpacks go, on the hooks, their coats go, and it's been able to solve a whole host of problems for us.
I love working with fresh flowers because they smell great, they're beautiful, their color is amazing, but I also love to work with dried flowers because there's a permanence to them. If you want to research what flowers are going to dry well versus what aren't, look up like desert flowers, look up drought-tolerant plants, and that will likely find you a whole plethora of material for you to work with when wanting to take arrangements, take flowers that were fresh and make them into dried arrangements. Often I actually even buy flowers just with the intention of drying them and turning them into a dried arrangement. I'm pretty happy with that.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest videos.